One for if I want to sit at my desk and pretend I'm typing and click my dog for not nudging my arm. Right? Every time they do something that's not nudging, I can see. That's the first thing I did with my dog, who I had adopted. She was a big nudger. And I was like, oh, I have to work at home. You can't do this to me. I won't be able to work. So just a little bit about reinforcers. Reinforcements are up to the person who's learning. So, if I gave you dog treats, not reinforcing to us, right? You answer the phone and I give you dog treats, not really reinforcing. If I give you peppermint candies, do you like peppermint candies?
No, but
not very reinforcing, but better than dog treats. How about you? Right? So look at her eyes lit up. She's like, I love that.
I'll take them every time.
So to me, these are like, they're like okay, they're like a middle of the road, like okay, but if it was chocolate, oh yeah, I'd be all in, right? Yeah. Chocolate. What if I gave you a pine cone? Yeah, like she's like, ah. If you're a crafty person, that might be a really high reinforcer. Yeah. Because I like to make wreaths made out of it. Dogs, some dogs really like to pick up pine cones and chase them down the street and, carry them around in their mouth. Some dogs chew them up.
Yeah.
My dog hated them. So it's up to the dog which reinforcer is the best. It's also going to change based on the environment they're in. So I tell everybody, and if you have more than one dog, do you have dogs?
Yes.
Yes. How many? Just one. Lauren has three.
I have partial custody, really. He lives with my parents during the week.
Gotcha.
Every other weekend.
Well, that's cool. I have a lady who just finished reactive dog class, and on the last class, she mentioned, well, yeah, it's been a lot of work. She did 9 weeks of classes with me. Actually, she's got 2 left, so we're halfway through the second set. She said, well, it's really hard, but I'm really working on it. So you're doing phenomenal. Your dog's doing great. She said, I don't live with my dog. Yeah. What?
That's
I go over to my parents' house and then do the training, and then I go home. I'm like, well, this is, her dog turned around like unbelievably. It's not even the same dog. He walked into basic class, and the first day I went, I'm going to have to change him over to reactive dog class, which is fine.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that. We need them to be where they fit the best. She did such good work on class 2. I was like, okay, I have a really dedicated owner because this lady turned that dog around like remarkable.
Even with only being with it sometimes.
Yes, this dog I walked in, there was dogs, that was his biggest thing. If he sees dogs, he goes bananas. Pulls and bark, 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 bark. She walked in the second class, she was able to keep him focused and get out into the room, and he wasn't barking at the other dogs. Really good. So she had really good reinforcers. He loves food.
Yeah.
The first week he couldn't eat food in the class because the dogs were too exciting. And he really just wanted to get to them. That was the most important thing for him in that moment. So now food and attention from mom is more important than looking at the dogs or barking at the dogs. So positive reinforcement, there are 4 different types of, about the 4 quadrants. Have you ever heard of the 4 quadrants? So positive reinforcement, positive punishment, negative reinforcement, and negative punishment. They get very confusing. People get really, really confused. They're not good and bad, positive and negative. They're add and subtract. So positive reinforcement, I add reinforcement, I add a treat, or I add $5 when you do the thing I like. Negative reinforcement, I take away the money when you do the bad thing. So you didn't answer the phone on time, I take away the $5. It's all stacked up there, but every time you miss a phone call, I take the $5 away. So your reinforcement's leaving because you acted inappropriately. One of the handouts that I gave you is actually a quadrant that explains it really easy, and then there's a demonstration of each of the quadrants and what it looks like when you're walking your dog. So positive reinforcement is, if you're by my leg, I will feed you food as we walk. That's easy. Now, let's say I'm using a choke or a prong collar. I correct when you pull. Positive punishment. I've added a punisher because you did the wrong thing. If a dog pulls and you're using a shock collar, you buzz the vibration or the shock until the dog stops pulling and you let it go. Negative punishment. I know it's hard to hear, right? But there is a lot of punishment and reinforcers that happen in the world that we don't even think about. Like, oftentimes, my dog pulls and I just stand there. That's not positive reinforcement. I do click and treat them when they come back, but the part where I'm standing here and waiting, it's still uncomfortable to them. So when they come back to me, it's positive reinforcement. You did the right thing, I'll give you food. But this part of pulling is actually, I always see, even I get in that stuff, right? I have to think. It is, and that's why the handouts I gave you are actually really clear about it, and it talks about, how. So they're pulling and you wait for them to stop pulling, the uncomfortable goes away. So negative punishment. Punishment went away when they stopped pulling.
Yeah.
So the cookie's just an afterthought on that particular one. So it happens whether we like it or not, we just don't want to use really super aversive. Oftentimes too, the dogs think what's aversive and what's not aversive. What do I hate? What scares me? Some dogs find the sound of the clicker so scary. It's an aversive.
Yeah.
It makes their behavior stop and they back up. They're like, oh, I'm not coming near you. You just made that loud clicking noise. So it's important to think about their perspective. Some dogs get very upset when you just say, no, and they cower. Nobody thinks that's punishment, right? We just said no. But to some dogs, my friend's dog, you wag your finger in her, she's like, oh, I must have done something really bad. And she, crushes her. Some dogs are just super soft like that. So important to think about those things. We are going to play a game. It's a clicker game. And so we're going to train each other to do something. There's lots of stuff to touch and interact with in this room. We want it to be a simple behavior, like walk over and stand on the mat. We don't want it to be complex behavior of pick up chair and move it. That takes a lot more work, and it's a multi-step process. When we're shaping behavior, we do it in very small increments. With our dogs, we can't tell them what we want. And so oftentimes we're yelling words at them, which have no meaning. Leave it, leave it, leave it.
Yeah, we use that, it doesn't
Right?
work.
And but did we teach them what it means? That's a great, right? So did we actually teach them it means ignore the food? And did we give them a good reason to want to ignore the thing you dropped in the plate? Probably didn't. Most people don't. We just start speaking in English, and they're from Czechoslovakia, really. They can't understand the language. They don't know what we mean by words.
Is that a thing? My German Shepherd, I'm like, does he speak German? He doesn't understand anything. And my husband's like, you're crazy. I'm like, no, I think that might be a thing.
My dog's word for sit was blueberry.
Anything?
Huh?
Any word?
I said blueberry, and she would sit.
That's crazy.
Because that's what I told her.
Yeah.
Right? So what's the difference between teaching her, when I say this word sit, you do this. I'm just teaching her the muscle movement and the word associated with it. And so we're going to do a little bit of shaping behavior. I'm going to borrow Joseph. He has not been primed for this.
I just want, for the record, everyone to know that I'm already here as borrowed. So she pretty much do whatever she wants.
Can you actually step in the room and close the door?
Yeah, sure.
So that I can find out what we want to have you do.
Okay.
No cheating. I want to pick a behavior that we can manipulate him, because we really are manipulating. We're shaping behavior to get him to do. So if you have any thoughts, there's lots of stuff to touch and interact with. You can touch a ball, you can pick up the fly swatter, you could put the necklace on. I have all kinds of stuff. So what do you think we should have him do?
Maybe sit on the mat or stand on the mat.
I said that when he was in the room,
Oh.
so I don't want to, he might try that first just because we get it in a back, huh?
Just because we said it.
Just because we said it, he might be like, oh, that might be the thing.
Put on the necklace?
Yeah. Which one, that one or the
This
black? Okay, the red, white, or blue.
Yeah.
Okay, come on out, Joseph!
learned this move from Piper. She doesn't like to come back the same way she left.
Stop right there. It's really funny. So I am going to click Joseph every time he takes a step in the direction of the thing I want him to do. It's not a complex behavior, so it's just going to be interacting with something in the room. Don't play with me.
You're clicking at me and you want me to pretend to be a dog and I don't get to play? Come on.
Of course you
Alright,
get to
no.
play. That's the whole idea. We should be laughing.
Sure.
And we're going to and we're going to pretend.
Sorry.
We started training. This is what happens with dogs, though, right? They're working. And we can't tell them, like, just hold on, I'm going to
He's
talk
already-
for a
he's
minute, and
already
then we're
back.
going to play. It's important. So, I'm not allowed to talk to him. I can't prompt him. I'm going to try to not give any body language clues in the direction of the thing. Sometimes we predispose ourselves to face the thing that we want them to touch. So it's important that we just recognize that. Okay, dog, begin training. He's a good creative dog.
Yeah.
You can turn and watch him. It's fun. He's a good creative dog. Some dogs get really stuck
Yeah.
and really, really frustrated.
Just stand there looking.
I've actually had